Okay, in this video, we are going to talk about your typically your ordered data types, which is tuples. And these tuples are also sequence data types because any ordered data types will have some kind of ordering. And in those kind of orderings, we have something called a sequence. Now, sequence is typically those collective data types which have indexing number attached to each item in it or each element in it. So typically the word for this one is your item for Python in the context of Python. So we have item in this one. So we have three items in this one, or you could also say that there are three elements in this one, right? So context matters, and I know people do not get context, different context, and take it out of context. It's an ongoing process, and they try to like work with the out of context stuff and see whether it could work on some kind of you know, investigatory process or not. Well, it doesn't work like that. Any case, now let's get this thing. So we have tuples. We have tuples, and when we have tuples, tuples are basically immutable data types. So the meaning of immutable in here means that it is not, you know, you cannot change it once you have created these data types. So that is the meaning of tuples in this one, right? So to start any Python shell, typically the best way to do is just type down Python and press enter. And some different operating system implementation, there could be also like py. Py is in your Windows, and Python is for all the Linux pros or the Linux gals, right? So for Linux people, Python is your default one implementation in this one. And in here, we could say that Python we have is like 3.13, and it is using GCC 14.2, which is a C compiler in this one, right? So this is the version we have right now. And of course, as the version changes, there are minor changes here and there, unless until there is a major change. This follows a semantic versioning system. This is the semantic versioning system, or follows closely with that. So that is the version system how it works in. So to make a tuple, we will use one variable and assign a tuple to it. So assigning a tuple, we utilize a parenthesis. The parenthesis we are going to utilize. Okay. So now this t variable is assigned with a tuple, and the tuple variable is like the tuple literal. When we talk about tuple literal, typically these are called literals. So the tuple literals, which is a collective literal, which is ordered literal, and which is a sequence literal, it starts with parentheses. In the Indian context, we say that this is a first bracket. Indian English context, however, the proper word for programming context, we say that these are parentheses. Okay, so these are called parentheses, and we have to like stick to those wordings because these kind of context-based languages, these are typically aligned with discussing things over, programming and computer science. And typically for this one, it is your Python in this regard, right? So we have to understand in here. Okay, so now this is how you assign it. And now suppose if you want to like see whether this count is your, what is the count of the element, you know, 2? What is the count of the element 2 in this one, or the item 2 in this one? So you will just use the t list. We will use the t list, and we will use the dot operator and utilize its inbuilt functions, or its the inbuilt method or inbuilt function in that list class, and then we'll provide one argument to it. The argument in here, it is telling the argument in here as 2, so it will search for every occurrence of 2 item in this one. So 2 number item, it will search for that, and it will see whether how much number item it is in there, right? So we get as 1 in here. So we get as 1 in here. So in this case, when we get a 1 in this one, So it says it means that the number of occurrence of 2 in this list, not in list, in this tuple is here 2 in. Okay, let me clarify this one. Uh, so typically, typically what we have to do in here is the whatever argument you provide to in here, whatever argument you provide to in here, it will be your it will count the number of occurrence of that item. So the argument is 2 in here, so it will count the number of occurrence of 2 in here, which is it is giving as 1. Okay, so 2 item, the 2 number item is occurring only once in here, right? So typically, if we let's say if we make another tuple, which is let's say it is 1, comma 2, comma 3, comma 4. We have this one, right? We have this, and let's say if you want to, count how many occurrence of 4 is there. So for that, we have 3, comma 4. Again, it is 1. Now let's go to T3 now. When you go to T3, when you go to T3, we have what? We have, let's assign as 1, comma 2, comma 2, okay, comma 3, comma 2, comma 2, and let's put as 0 as well. So in these cases, what we have is something that something more occurrence of 2 in this one. So we have something more of occurrence of 2 in this one. So for those things, what we have to do is typically, uh, let's see how much count is it in here. So count is what? Count is 2. Right. Now we have given the argument as 2 in here. So the number of occurrence of 2 in here is 3. So we should get 3 in here. So we are getting a 3 in here. Right. So that is the typically way of the count method or the count inbuilt function works for tuple class or the inbuilt tuple class or the tuple data type. Right. So that is there. Okay. And what else? So we have to close this one. People are always out of context. Uh, Context matters. Context is very important. Right? Is very important. So I have already gone ahead and like written this one, so we can just check the output of this one and can check that the output is 1 since there is only one occurrence of 2 in this one. So now let's see 2 and we have one occurrence of 2 in here, right? So that is, you can just change it. Commit. Okay, that is there, right? Yeah, so I get a lot of distractions while recording these videos, so that is why there is a software for noise cancellation. But yeah, where I'm recording, there is a lot of distractions always happening, and this and whatever place I have, it is not soundproof as well. So that is the most problematic part in this one. That the place which I have, it is not soundproof. Okay, so we have uh, recorded this thing, and hopefully you find this helpful. Yeah, just the 9-minute stuff. I would go into details later on because there are some struggling students who will need those things. So